Shall we talk about citrus fruits?
Yeah.
We had a request, an actual request, when we mentioned citrus fruits last time. Maybe it was talking about the bitter orange. Somebody said, let's do a film on citrus fruits. We talk about that. So the last one was all about things which last a very, very long time and don't seem to have much effect on the fragrance, except they really do. And if we're talking about citrus fruits, it's almost the opposite. They last a short amount of time, and if you put some in, it'll really change the way that the fragrance smells from the very moment they are in there. The question that we get asked most often about citrus fruits, I'll just fiddle with the basket. It's my new project, that the spaces, by the way, from the basket room. You know who says who made it for you. And I'm keeping all my projects in baskets. Oh, okay. Munyani made it for us. So then I can just carry them around. When it's finished, I can take it out and make another project, put in another basket. So I'm getting organised. In the basket today, we have citrus fruits. And what I was going to say is that when people come here and they say, I'd like to make a citrus fragrance which lasts a long time, and I have to say that is very unlikely to happen. Also, complaints we get about citrus fragrances, not necessarily ours, specifically somebody else's, but I'm not going to mention that brand's name because they're very big and very litigious. But I paid all these pounds, dollars, euros, for my fragrance, and it doesn't last all day. What's wrong with it? I should pay for a fragrance that lasts all day. Well, I tend to say it's like buying a bicycle and expecting it to go as fast as a train. Citrus fruits are what they are, and I have a bit of an obsession with them. I collect sort of musks and citrus fruits. Harry thinks that I'm like Pokemon with Pokemon. Pokemon. I've only ever seen it written down. Pokemon, thank you. I'm like that with my musks.
You've got to catch them all.
I've got to catch them all.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I'm like that with citrus fruits. In fact, I've got citrus fruits that most people haven't even heard of.
Great.
I think. So I have quite a few in the basket.
Fantastic.
Thank you. But why? Because if they don't last very long, what's the point adding them to a fragrance? Citrus fragrances are there to do a certain thing, and it's sort of to refresh and revive you, and then, yay, you can either top it up later or you can put something else on because they're gone. You have to look at the advantages of these things rather than complain. I'm going to turn the sound off this silly phone because I forgot. I mean, it's a sensible phone, it's a silly sound, and we're making film. So, I mean, if there is such a thing as what's genuinely a top note, something that doesn't last very long and smells very light, you're talking about citrus fruit. And they will open up a fragrance and make you smell like all the sunshine that's been absorbed by them all the year they've been growing is projecting out and filling you with delight and joy. That is why I use them. So what we got, and shall we smell some?
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of bergamot around in this world.
Too much bergamot.
Oof. You can never have too much bergamot.
It's going to be like another one of those rose things.
Yeah, it
bergamot is...
Does it not do it for you, Arthur?
No.
Is it because you don't like Earl Grey tea, or?
I love Earl Grey tea.
Okay.
It's probably just quite contrary because it seems to be in everything.
Right. So you set yourself up there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Thank you. You know Earl Grey, the man?
Yeah.
Well, Grey's Monument in Newcastle, which you can't really miss because he's got a station named after it, Monument. Grey Street, and you walk up
It's got a
and
colour named after him.
grey.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So, but people don't realise it's the same Earl Grey as the tea, but it is.
This just smells like Earl Grey now because you're just talking about Earl Grey.
And that is what happens with the whole projection thing in perfume. So it will smell like this, and people go, "Oh, yes, it does."
Yeah.
But at first, when you hand around a bunch of strips with a bergamot on, people say, "Oh, I know that, I know that, I know that. What is it?" And you say, "Earl Grey tea." So it is the flavouring of Earl Grey tea, or rather, it's the aroma. And it's very handy. It used to be used in amounts up to like 30-40% in formulas because it helped some of the more difficult powders in early days of synthetics. It helped them to dissolve. So in the Guerlainade, which is that was the secret base of Guerlain's perfumes from late 1800s through for sort of quite recently, masses of bergamot, coumarin, heliotropin, vanillin, synthetic musk. But so big chunks, you can use a big chunk of bergamot in a formula, and because it sort of joins the top and the bottom of fragrances, bergamot. It can be used. It's a sort of almost like a natural cloud. You can use quite a lot of it, and it doesn't take over. So it is unusual in the field of citruses. So what do we use a lot of? Sweet orange. We talked about bitter orange last week. Sweet orange we'll tend to use more, partly because it's not as restricted. Talking the area of furocoumarins here, phototoxins, meaning that, well, that's quite funny, there's a tiny bit left, use most of it. Phototoxins are things which, when you put them on your skin, and they then react, the skin reacts in the sunshine. So bergamot used to contain furocoumarins, and now it doesn't. So bergamot, you buy bergamot FCF, which is furocoumarin free, technical people, which means that now it's a lot safer. When I was a kid, okay, I'm not going far, I'm going to get the Diorella, but quick, well, vintage Diorella. So this was made with bergamot. It's been slightly changed. It's been made with bergamot that had the fumicumins. This is
one
proper,
of those,
yeah.
One of those pumps.
Yes.
CFCs.
CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. Yeah. Oh, so this one. Okay, so my vintage Diorella, my love.
Wow.
Yeah, but if you sprayed that on you and then went out in the sunshine like I would when I was 17 or something, you'd come back with brown stripes and things which affect your skin in that way. It's never a good sign. Sunshine, skin, things that change the colour. No, just no. So I know though.
It's really
Isn't
nice.
it just?
Yeah, it is very nice.
Oh, go Edmund Woodnitska. So, but the bergamot now has the furocoumarins removed because it's much more important that essential oils don't give people cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't really a decision, is there? So, do you use it because you can still buy it with furocoumarins in that you can use for room fragrance, what have you, but no reason. Okay, so sweet orange. Because the more citrus oils you smell, eventually the brain will just go, yeah, room full of citrus oils, get it, and it will stop smelling them. But yeah, sweet orange, lovely. How would you make sweet orange smell? for longer. Well, I find that I can sort of extend them for up to sort of, maybe a couple of hours, maybe, if I stick them on top of Ambrox super. There are certain fixatives which also have aromas. Isoe super is a fixative, but Ambrox super for me is the one which I find that if I've got a citrus fragrance, and I work backwards from this because I didn't know, I used to put the in because I liked the aroma. But then I found I'd made citrus fragrances which lasted for a couple of hours, and I thought, just a minute, what do they have in common? And it was because they all had Ambrox super in it. So that is the conclusion I have drawn in a practical way, that that's what it does. Another of my absolute top favourites, is pink grapefruit. So I have a sample here. So it's pinkish, it's not orange. Okay, so I'm doing tiny dippings because this is the 100% natural and citrus fruits. I'm okay, but some people do have reactions to them. So pink, we'll know what that is. Saving ink. I'm on fountain pens again. I really want to make a scented ink, but ink is difficult. Making good ink is as difficult as making perfumes.
Well, scented ink, you can get those.
You can.
Those
French
like gel pens.
Oh yeah.
That smell of like watermelon and things.
That's true. But I was thinking scented fountain pen ink, like Belban. I've got to speak to Diamine and see if they're up for it.
Absolutely, do not spray it on yourself.
No. It's funny. I always think that the Mont Blanc fragrance ought to smell of ink. I mean, why would you? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Brand extension. So disappointed when I first smelled Mont Blanc's fragrances and they didn't smell of ink. Okay, pink grapefruit. But you put pink grapefruit into a fragrance, it tends to smell of orange.
Right.
If you want the aroma of freshly squeezed grapefruits, you use methyl pamplemousse.
Ah, yes.
Or if we're going to be correct, methyl pamplemousse, methyl grapefruit. Pamplemousse being French for grapefruit and one of my very favourite words. Also, the name of the band started by the guy who set up Patreon.
What?
Pamplemousse.
Great.
Yes. Jack. Right. I love that. It's just many of my fragrances that I started with, because I just picked my favourite things when I started. I didn't have a collection of hundreds of materials. I picked my favourite things and I made fragrances out of what I had, which I think is a very artisanal approach myself. Another way that you can make fragrances last, synthetic, no, not synthetic, no, it's not bad, citrus. Another way you can make citrus fragrances last longer is by using petitgrains, and they are the fragrances made from the sort of pips and leaves and twigs and leftovers. It means little seed, petitgrain.
Wow.
So they smell sort of a little bit like the flower and the fruit and the wood and the whole tree, petitgrain. So I have a lime one and an orange one and lemon and mandarin. Got to be careful with the mandarin one because it's something like 45% methyl and thranilate, and that smells like jet fuel. So that's in Freeway, by the way. That's the sort of petrol-y smell in Freeway is from mandarin petitgrain. So this is orange petitgrain. Got to be careful with these because they take over. Petitgrains are they're like the opposite of clouds. they have a high slope of psychophysical function. So you put a little bit in, it's like, oh right, that's nice, it smells a bit of orange tree. I'll put a little bit more in. Like, boom, and then that's all you get as petitgrain just sort of takes
It's very
over.
it's very industrial smelling.
Yes.
Does that?
No, it's a good description. I was going to wait to see what you said, because it's one of those things that people will smell it and go, oh, but that's a chemical. And of course then you explain that everything's chemicals, and of course this is made of lots of chemicals, but the petitgrains by themselves can smell very man-made, human-made, made by people. But they aren't, they're made by trees. But that's an interesting one. They will make the citrus fragrance last a bit longer. I mean, one of the famous synthetic citruses is dihydromercenol, which I didn't bring up because it's in a whacking great big thing downstairs, but dihydromercenol is a very fresh, bright, citrusy thing that you get in modern citrus splashes. Almost certainly there'll be a little bit of dihydromercenol in men's citrusy colognes. I have some yuzu here, which this is it's the most expensive citrus I've got at the moment, and that's because I went and did this thing. There's a company that was growing and selling rare citrus fruits in Portugal. I haven't opened it yet. I need there's the scissors, hold on. I was growing, they were making these things, and suddenly they were supplying them to top restaurants. And then blinking COVID. So there was nowhere for these people to sell their citrus oils. So I said, hey, I'll have some. How much is it? Now guess how, I made a mistake there. And what I should have said was, how much is it first? Yeah. Because this is how come I ended up with 250 grams and not a litre. This is precious, but you can smell it. It's good.
Yuzu's kind of having, I see the name cropping up everywhere at the moment.
Yes.
It's having a bit of a moment.
It is, but a lot of yuzu, when you smelt it, well, maybe you know what the yellow mandarin smells like. It's up on the wall there, and you've bottled all of those. So.
Oh, wait, let me just. All of these.
Yeah, all of those. Yeah, half the bottle, all of those. Oh, it's gorgeous though. But yuzu, so it's usually expensive because it's grown in Japan. No, it's the people who are being paid to grow it and make it. I mean, they don't necessarily want to make it into an essential oil. If I'm being very careful about touching just the side of this and not get it on my hands. But so I started a sentence and completely forgot to finish it, but I am going to go back there.
Oh.
Circling back here. If it says yuzu, sometimes it might be there's a thing called yuzu zest, also called yuzu aldehyde, and it's an aroma chemical, and that makes a yuzu smell. I use it with a material called...
You yuzu it?
I use it. You know, my writing, when I was teaching writing, my motto would be, never use utilise when you can use. Because there's no point using a long word that means exactly the same as a short word. People say utilise because they think it sounds more important. Yeah. But use means the same thing. Anyway, so we utilise yuzu. It's also French, utiliser. They don't say. It's just longer. So yuzu. Yeah. So this is the real thing, but not grown in Japan, grown in Portugal. And they have some amazing essential oils. But you see, this one I'm still waiting for the safety data certificate to turn up because they didn't realise they had to have them to sell to the perfume industry. So when it turns up, I'll use it.
Yuzu.
I'll use Yuzu. But I also see what we've got is yellow mandarin. It's not the same, but yellow mandarin smells a lot like Yuzu. So the whole notes materials thing. If there is a Yuzu note, if somebody says it smells of Yuzu, they might be using Yuzu aldehyde, also known as Yuzu zest, plus yellow mandarin to create the aroma, or something different.
It's very nice.
It is, isn't it?
Very nice.
So I have that now. Now I've got lavender in the basket. Why? It's not a citrus fruit. Because, and this one is from Epirus Organics in Greece. They're growing high altitude lavender.
It's got lots of the same allergens in it.
Well spotted. A little bit of lavender in a citrus blend can just make it smell more citrusy. And also things like, there we go, my ancient bottle of 4711 with its own corkscrew. Although, yeah, there's definitely some in there. One day I'll open it. I will take the corkscrew, take the seal off, open it. But that's a travel bottle. It's great, isn't it? There's another couple of travel bottles there. So, I didn't put anything on that yet. Continuity. Lavender, out of context, if somebody smells lavender, they very well might think it's a citrus.
Thank you.
Unless they're actually going, let's have primed them. But if you were to put that, say, with the Yuzu, and just see.
I dropped my Yuzu on the floor.
Do you want mine?
No, got it.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It's really nice together.
It smells like a Yuzunder or a Lezu.
Lazy.
Yeah.
That's quite good. Yuzu's a great word, isn't it?
It is. The Japanese take baths in it. It's Christmas tradition is to fill your hot tub bath thing that the Japanese have with lots and lots of floating yuzus and soak yourself in it to absorb the vitamin C.
Wow.
I don't know.
And also come out in a rash, presumably.
Well, no, because it's there's not that many of them in there, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not squeezing the essential oil. I mean, you wouldn't want to take this and pour it into the bath. That would be terrible. But if you chop up the fruit and put it in the bath.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Small amounts.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's the amount that's important. That's the difference. Okay, and I also got this amazing thing called Essence of Melanesian Macroptera.
Wow.
Citrus Macroptera. This is from the Portuguese people, and they sent me this. Again, can't use it yet. No idea what's in it. I mean, the Yuzu, we have a rough idea of what's in those things.
So these are for food, are they? These?
They were being grown for food, but the poor guys didn't have anywhere to sell it because COVID and restaurants. So they started making them into turning them into essential oils.
And have now learnt that actually it's probably far more lucrative.
Well, it is if they can sell them, because the thing is that this is amazing. Essential oils of citrus fruits, apart from yuzu, they're normally pretty cheap because they're leftovers from juice production quite a lot of time. Or there's a lot of them. They're very easy to squeeze out or distill out. So there's usually lots of them. These, not much of it. Handcrafted and all that. I mean, what's the...
I can't get my head around that.
I know. It doesn't...
It's like... It's really strange.
It is. It's like nothing, no citrus fruit I've ever smelt before.
Yeah.
Melanesian Macroptera.
What an...
It smells very dark green to me.
Yeah.
But also quite floral, leafy. It's a whole experience.
It is. It's got a real dark side to it.
But it's thousands of pounds for a kilo. I mean, this is... They sent this to me because I bought that. This is...
Wow.
But, you know, once I find out what's in it, I've got to make a very small, limited edition of Melanesian Macroptera.
Melanesian.
He's Googling it. Dear,
Am I allowed to Google it?
Yeah, of course you can.
Mela.
I'll see what it looks like. I think it's a big, dark green thing.
So Melanesian what?
Okay, spelt Macro.
Macro.
Ptera.
Ptera.
It's
So wild orange. Oh wow! Very. There we go. They look like that.
Oh, I'm pleased. I'm pleased that I thought it was a massive, great big green thing. I'll have to hold it over here.
Yeah, you will.
So
And maybe I'll tell you what. I can just
you can
go.
focus on it.
There you go, everybody.
So it's not like lime. It's not like lemon. It's not even much like orange. It smells much more earthy and dark.
Yeah.
It smells like a citrus fruit that grows in deep in the forest.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know really. I shouldn't go to great lengths describing it because he can't have. Well, he can have some. I can give the contact name of these lovely people, and then people can buy them, and that'd be nice because fingers crossed they've actually got back to supplying restaurants now. But yeah, lovely. Now, one of my favourites is Cedra. Cedra essential oil it's a kind of lemon. I'm finding it difficult to get hold of at the moment. It seems that the people who normally harvest it aren't around, which is a difficulty that we're having right now because of COVID and border crossings and people not being allowed to travel, and the harvesting quite often being done by communities which do travel. You know, going where the agricultural work is, as people have done for thousands of years. If your nose is not all citrused out, Cedra. So now this confusingly, so it's spelled Cedrat. That's the French for it. But the English for it is citron. But citron is French for lemon.
Yeah.
Which is why they call it Cedra. Citron vert is French for lime, like green lemon. But citron is also a different kind of fruit in a different language. It's in Spanish, I think it's called something else, but I've forgotten.
And a car.
It's a Citroën. But very close, yes. Yeah, it could be easily confused. Thank you for that. But I like that. I like that. It's, I don't know, it's kind of a more classy lemon.
It is really nice, that. It is. I see what you mean by classy lemon.
Difficult to describe.
I think you bang on there, actually.
So my absolute favourite, my big current favourite is the Mandora.
Yes.
And the Mandora is a cross between an orange and a mandarin, and it's grown in Cyprus. And I said to the great Harry Sherwood, I'm buying this Mandora, it's a cross between this, I love it. And he said, why don't you just blend orange and mandarin? Which is not a daft question. And then when he turned up and I went, right, smell this, he just went, oh. Because it's just not the same as just crossing a mandarin. It's a different species and subspecies, and it is just gorgeous. And I've put it in Meet Me on the Corner and everything I've made since. But of course, since then, I find that Kumquat, who made this Cedra as well, who made the Mandora, their UK distributors, not only do they not stock it at the moment, but no one there, when I bought it 2 years ago, and it's coming to the end of it, and I've got another year of it, they don't even have anybody left in the building who remembers that they got it for me. I had to tell them, ask Kumquat for it because I've smelt it, and they went, no, never heard of it. Just give them a call, say, okay, you have to buy 5 litres. Thank you. Kilos. 5 kilos. Get it over here. Yeah, the Mandora, I don't think I can get any more until something vaguely un-Brexity is sorted out, because there's just no point dealing with the UK at the moment, because it's just too much of a blinking faff for small producers in Italy. So we can't have any. But I've got enough to survive for the moment. But maybe I'll just have to reformulate or make something different and sigh. So anyway, I've got something here which is from the US. This, okay, it's a citrus fruit. It's yet another smell. Pokemon, is that how you pronounce it?
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
How do you how
Is it like, it's Japanese? It's Pokemon.
Yeah, but how do you get do you know who Pikachu is?
Yes.
It's the main one.
Pikachu.
How do you get 100 Pikachus onto a bus?
Pokemon.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
That's how you can remember.
Okay, I got it now. Pokemon. Yes. In my collection of citruses, I would say this one is more self-evidently citrusy than the Melanesian Macroptera.
Yeah, I mean it's this is the most edible one that I've smelt. This is the most. I would like to eat. I would like that to be a sweet.
Right. Shall I tell you what it is?
Yeah.
It's got a Q in it. It is so.
Is it Kumquat?
It is Kumquat. This is the Scrabble beating. This is the top Scrabble citrus fruit, I think. It's the Kumquat. Yes. So this I've just got. Minimum order was 2 kilos, so I own 2 kilos of Kumquat, and I'm about to put it in a fragrance. Actually, the modern equivalent of taking a travel bottle with you. I'm making a Mandora Kumquat Cedar body spray for going to festivals. Maybe out next year when you go to festivals. But yeah, so Kumquat. That's my newest acquisition.
Have you ever eaten a kumquat?
I have, and it's not actually as tasty as that smells,
No,
because it's there.
Yeah, it's really not.
I know, but the whole thing is you're supposed to peel it, so you're supposed to eat it. No. maybe crystallized kumquats. Is that what they call it? Yeah. Get your pastry chef friend to sort some out. I've got a couple of synthetics. I've brought the lime oxide, because what happens with lime oxide is if I give lime essential oil and lime oxide to people to smell and say which one is synthetic and which one is natural, guess what? You know what happens. Everyone goes, oh, this one's definitely the natural. That one smells like chemicals, and it'll be the lime oxide that people smell. Think it's natural because it smells a lot softer. And lime essential oil reminds people so much of dishwashery and, sink cleaning, because so many products in the UK are fragranced with that sharp, cleany, citrusy smells that people think it must be synthetic. And yet the lime oxide is the one that smells more natural. When people say natural, they just... It feels like it gives them a sense of security. It feels safer. No one knows what natural smells like, really. And so we could talk about mandarins. I have red mandarin, yellow mandarin, and green mandarin. Because I was making some fragrances that had colour themes, our Modern Lives range, I just wanted to, so I went for it. And they are the same plant, same tree. They're picked at different stages of ripeness.
Yeah.
That is all. And so they smell different because they are different.
Yeah.
Because they're older.
Yeah.
They've absorbed more sunshine. I've got tangerine. I've got white grapefruit as well. I'm thinking about other synthetics. Oh, well, of course, there's lemongrass and Litsea cubeba, which also... will take over. They've got the same natural chemicals in them as citrus fruits. Well, Litsu cubatus is kind of a tiny, it's like a even smaller kumquat. But lemongrass, of course, is a grass. Citronella, as we found out a couple of weeks ago, is also a grass. They smell citrusy too, and they tend to extend the length a bit, but they will take over. Pure citrus fruits made from the peel of the citrus fruit, squeezed from there, they just tend to be really light and fleeting and lovely. But you can't make them last for 8 hours. They won't.
No. Well, I suppose it's a really silly joke. I was going to say, I'll tell you I can tell you how you can make it last for 8 hours.
Why?
Just keep spraying it.
Yes. And that is the answer.
It's really. I might cut that out afterwards. I'm in control of the edit.
You are, but it's not that it's a joke. It's a perfectly. That's the thing. It's a bad joke, but it's a good fact.
But I remember you saying when people say to you, "Oh, it doesn't." When people grade fragrances on how long it lasts, the longevity, and they say, "Oh, but I'm going to mark it down or whatever because it doesn't last very long," and then your reply is, "Well, I didn't. I meant for it not to last very long, or otherwise I would have made a fragrance that lasts a long time."
Yeah, that's what it's for. It's, you can lose beauty if you're going for purpose. And it's a bit like thinking, oh well, I'm going to buy a book. Which is the thickest? Not do I like the style of writing.
Yeah.
No, let's read a poem. Is it long? No, it's short. Oh, I don't want it. That's not very good value. Poem. But how does it make you feel? Maybe that short poem makes you feel amazing, and the long ones just. But
it is. I think it's a massive byproduct of the consumerist society that we find ourselves in, because it makes people, their value is, they want something tangible in the value rather than something untangible, which is something more poetic.
It's, as I was saying this week, horses for courses. I introduced the phrase horses for courses to some of the Americans on the Facebook group Perfume Making. If you want something that is refreshing and fleeting and uplifting and citrusy, choose a citrusy thing. If you want something to get you through from the morning till like the next morning, go for an amber woods.
Yeah.
Kind of a fragrance. I mean, Fluffy Lemon Top here, which has got a fair amount of cedra in it, and lemon, and bergamot.
That's one of my favourite of your perfumes, that one is. Fluffy Lemon Top.
Thank you. It's named, I mean, Lemon Top is an ice cream from Petitos in Redcar. And it's named after a kind of, it's one of the Clouds series, and of course, you go to Redcar for a day on the beach and it will probably rain. Not always, but sometimes. So you sit there looking forward to the sun coming out, and it's a bit like that. You have an ice cream at Petitos and wait for the sun to come out, and the lemon and the narcissus part of it, quite big. This lasts a long time.
A long time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fact, our friend Jacques, he said he's a bit scared of it lasts so long, because he puts it on and he wonders if it's ever going to go away. But I think it's because it's with a serious amount of musk, so it's as if the musks and the coumarin that's in there, and what else I put in? Other Zambrox in there. They get hold of the lemon and they go, okay, now just hang on. No need to run away straight away. They go, I'm off. And it's like, yeah, but not so fast. Hang out a little bit.
Yeah.
And it endures. So it's not impossible. I should actually measure. I should go back and start again and see how long the lemoniness lasts. The citrus part.
Can I have some space?
Yes, of course you can. Yep, 7 7 sprays, that's about normal. Yeah. Maybe not me.
Want it back?
But you can have it if you like.
No, just pop it here
You can
for
earn
me.
it if you like. Make a film, yeah.
No, that,
Yeah.
oh, so
You can have a
good.
big bottle of it, you know.
So good.
Yeah, so is it possible to make a citrus fragrance that lasts all day and all night? No. You carry it around with you, a nice little bottle like that.
Yeah.
What's the problem? So yes, and you don't need much. That's what it's like. But it came from, there was, on Fragrantica, when it started up, and there was a scale. And it said, rate it on, performance. We get into talking about fragrances performance. And I got a question once about, I think it was Oh My Soul, the one I made for the Oh My Soul group, and the first question came up. It wasn't like, what does it smell like, what's it remind you of, how does it feel? It was, how does it perform? And I had a look, I stalked the Facebook profile of the person who'd asked that question, and it was, the pictures were of him in his big car, with a big engine, and you can think, yeah, I understand you. You're a person who wants things, performy things.
Yeah, but performance means something different in that context than it does, say, sing some Shakespeare.
Yeah, it's not.
You don't go, how was the performance? Oh, it was 3.5 hours. Well, some people do, but it's the word means something different.
It is. In perfumery, it means how far away can you smell it and how long is it going to last. It's like, in perfumery, how does it perform means how big is it.
Yeah.
And some of these fragrances are small.
Yeah.
So actually, Oh My Soul is quite, it's like 4.5. But on Fragrantica, they had the scale of what I insist on calling longevity, Cos Norden, but and it wasn't short to long, which is sort of non-judgmental. It's like descriptive. It was poor to good, and this influenced the entire community into thinking that short was poor. And actually, I had a chat with the founder. And she said, yeah, I see what you mean. And it's a couple of years ago at Petit Fragrance. And it's actually changed now, but within the scent community, there's this feeling that the longer it lasts, kind of the better value it is. And it's not necessarily related to cost of materials. It's not even related to how much you put in there. If I were to make a 20% Cedra fragrance, okay, it wouldn't be legal or safe, but if I did, it wouldn't last all day. You just get really strong blast of Cedra, then off you go. So, maybe skill of putting it together with other things that will help it stay in place before it bounces off. It's like kids out the school gates, citrus fruits, that's what they're like. It's not the teenagers, like the 4-year-olds, like bing, 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 money. That citrus fruits, that's what they're like. But really, there are so many, and there'll probably be more because of the desire for naturals at the moment. There'll probably be more citrus fruits to explore, and I say, bring it on.
Yeah.